What does the term otome mean to you? Otome, if I'm saying it correctly, O-T-O-M-E. To a lot of people, otome means a dating simulator for girls, meaning a dating simulator where you play as a girl and you spend the game flirting with a harem of men until you pick which one you want to marry. After actually playing a few otome games, my opinion on the genre has changed quite a bit. Originally, I thought it was the same thing because that's all I'd ever heard. Thanks to Idea Factory International, I've gotten to review 2 games of the genre, and I view it more of a visual novel with romantic elements thrown into the mix. To give you an idea, let's get on to today's review. The first part in a 2-part series, and currently exclusive to the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation TV. Here is my review of Hakuoki, Kyoto Wins. Kyoto Wins takes place in Japan near the end of the Edo area in the 1800s, when the shogunate still ruled the country. You play as a young girl who visits the city of Kyoto in search of her father. He'd left their home sometime before to work in Kyoto, and she wanted to go visit him. Instead of finding her father, she gets attacked by some rogue ronin, as well as some strange samurai-wielding monster-like humans. Narrowly escaping death thanks to the special police force in Kyoto, the Shisengumi, the heroine is then kidnapped by that same force for witnessing what she witnessed. Over the course of the game, she goes from being their prisoner to being someone cooperating with them, as they are also looking for her father. Now that's a lot to take in, but there is a lot of story here. You have the perspective of a heroine from the inside of the Shisengumi. You take part in a lot of different Japanese battles, such as the Ikeda Inn incident, all the way to the end of the Edo period. So given everything I've said so far, I view Kyoto Wins as a huge Japanese history visual novel with some romance elements. From a story perspective, yes, there are some sci-fi elements, but there's also a ton of real-world Japanese history, from the members of the Shisengumi themselves to the battles that you witness. Now with gameplay, Kyoto Wins is, as I said just a moment ago, a visual novel with romance elements thrown into the mix. For the bulk of the game, you're going to be going through visual novel cutscenes after cutscene after cutscene after cutscene after cutscene, and there are going to be some light romance elements thrown into the mix. There are romance scenes with all of the different male characters that have their own ending paths. But the best part about this game, from someone who is not only 1, a guy instead of a girl, 2, someone who loves visual novels rather than dating simulator visual novels. If you go into the options menu, the romance elements of Hakuoki Kyoto Wins can be turned on or off. So if you are a Japanese history buff really wanting to see how they modify the actual Shisengumi for this game, get the game, go into the options, turn romance off, and you don't have to worry about any lovey-dovey stuff. So essentially, it's an otome game, but at the same time it's not. But as both a visual novel and an otome game, the big thing that helps this game, especially with replayability, is the choice system. This game has a dozen different character paths and twice as many ending paths. Every single chapter of the game, you'll have choices, and each option that you choose will affect the game in different ways. First of all, obviously, it'll change your perspective, but it also affects what ending you get. Character endings are a big thing in otome and visual novels in general. The way this game's story works is you have the first 4 chapters which lead up to the finale. Then you play through the finale depending on your choices. Every choice you make can affect a stat leaning you towards each different character with an ending. But because of this versatility, the game literally has endless options. There are literally dozens upon dozens of different paths you can go through. And speaking of replayability and length, a single run through this game should take you at least 6 hours. I spent a little more than an hour during each of the 5 chapters I went through. And by the time I was finished with both endings from my character path, I had logged almost 7 hours in the game. Now the controls. The only thing I don't like about the controls is the fact that none of the gameplay elements are explained to you. Kyoto Wins does not have an autosave system. Kyoto Wins does not tell you how to save your game. And if you play the game for 2 or 3 hours and close it, it will not keep your save data. Now, if you know how to save, if you know how to hit triangle and go into that save menu, or hit the L or R triggers to do quick loads and quick saves, sure, you can save your progress. But if you don't know it's there and you just assume, you're going to lose a lot. I lost my first 2 hours of progress when I first started playing this game because I didn't know how to save. And that's the only thing that I have a problem with this game. The fact that it doesn't autosave and it doesn't tell you how to save. Now, if you don't tell me how to save, fine, put an autosave feature in there. But there's no autosave feature in there. Visually, the game looks really good, and the art style it has this authentic, traditional look to it. The textures of the actual hand-drawn CG, the character models, it just looks so authentic. And it really fits that Edo period Japanese history setting. And really nothing wrong with the performance. Load times only last a few seconds, no frame drops, no stuttering as you'd expect from a visual novel. All in all, it's optimized very, very well. In conclusion, Hakuoki Kyoto Wins is much, much more than just a mere otome dating simulator. It's a visual novel rich in Japanese history that gives you the option of whether or not you wish it to be a dating or romance game or just a normal VN that teaches you about Japan. Now, the lack of control explanation is potentially very frustrating, but the story, the huge wealth of Japanese history really all comes together and makes this one of the best and one of the most authentic PlayStation Vita visual novels out there. Reviews to Go rates Hakuoki Kyoto Wins a 9 out of 10. If you'd like to discuss this further or comment, feel free to below or head to the website www.reviewstogo.com.